Hey y'all, it's Valerie Parham with Living and Investing in Nashville. Today I am sitting with one of my favorite clients. Her name is Desiree, and she's going to tell us all about investing in Nashville. She's got a couple properties. I don't want to spoil too much information and give away too much, but she's got a couple properties. She invested in a big way this year, and so just wanted to get with her, talk about her experience, and share a little bit of information with you so that you can take home some of this information for yourself and see what could be helpful to you. So thank you so much, Des, for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to hear my story and how much fun we've had in this process together.
It has been an amazing journey, so I appreciate you letting me, help you with that. And so just looking forward to hearing all about your experience since the purchase.
Yeah.
So if you will, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into investing.
Yeah. So I'm Desiree Prentice. I am a family medicine physician, but I was looking into other streams of income. And with meeting Valerie and hearing about her investment properties, I was like, hey, I can do that. Tell me more. And then I bit the bug, and here we are today.
And so with that bug, I think one of the things that's important to note is that you had a property before we kind of started working together. So what was that experience like for you to buy that was your first property?
Yeah, so I bought my first home in 2019 in East Nashville, and I had an amazing banker and real estate agent who really walked me through every step of the process and explained things to me in like a kindergarten level. And that was great. And then my real estate agent, she's no longer an agent. She's actually an architect, and she was just doing that for fun while she was getting her architecture license. So, and then in meeting Valerie as friends and learning that she also does real estate, I was just like, well, hey, I maybe want to get into this. Talk me through it like I'm still a kindergartner, please. Well, I think I upgraded to first grade.
But I do think that that's an important comment to make, because sometimes people are afraid to get into real estate because people are throwing out words or using terms that they're not familiar with. And so if somebody can walk you through it, break it down on a very simple, basic level. I mean, for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, everybody needs a place to live. That's kind of like the starting basis of things. But once you kind of get into the step-by-step, like you said, getting your first property, it makes it something that's a little more palatable. You start learning little bit by little bit. We don't come out running. We have to learn how to crawl and walk. And I think it's a similar concept in investing and getting into real estate. So
I definitely agree.
Property that we're in right now, tell everybody a little bit about this particular purchase and kind of how you've gone through the process of getting it set up for Airbnb.
Yeah. So with the help of Valerie, I was able to buy an attached HPR, and in Davidson County, in the residential area, you have to have an owner-occupied permit for a short-term rental. So I live in one half, and then we are sitting today in the Airbnb half. And with Valerie's help, I was able to file for my permits and do all of those things. And with my mortgage banker, we were able to rent out my initial property and to use that as a stream of income in order to be able to qualify to purchase this property.
So one of the other things that I was curious about and kind of wanted to talk about as well is, what are some of the challenges that you faced, or, what are some of the things that maybe you felt like were pretty simple in the process of getting your Airbnb started? And then what are some things that initially you didn't think about or presented themselves as challenges after that?
Yeah. You would think that the purchasing of a home would be the hard part, but it's actually getting the short-term rental permit in Davidson County. They make you jump through all the hoops, and you have to do all the paperwork that isn't listed or is inferred. And that was actually the hardest part. And then you have to really think about those startup costs. So furnishing a whole house, whereas when you move from one house to another, you take a lot of that stuff with you. But when you have to furnish a whole brand new house, you really need to take that into consideration when you're looking at your budget, how much you can afford, how much you put down. And so that part was more expensive than I initially thought. But with talking with Valerie and talking about you can get these things salvaged from here, and you can, reuse, repurpose from here, and kind of working out some of those things, it was manageable, and I was able to get that up and running. But definitely the hardest part is getting those permits.
And then we talked about this a little bit off camera, but I wanted to also ask about some of the features of your property that you feel like are unique or added bonuses, or people who would like to visit Nashville. What are some of the things that your property has in it that are unique to kind of your character and what you wanted to pull into the space to entice people?
Yeah. What I do love about this home, it's 3 bedrooms, 3 full baths, and one of the bedrooms and full baths is on the first floor. So if you have older folks or people with some mobility issues, they don't have to go all the way upstairs in order to sleep. My property does sleep 10, and so I have queen over queen bunk beds in that downstairs room, a queen memory foam pull-out mattress from the couch, and then 2 queen mattresses upstairs. There's also a pack and play, so if you're traveling with a little one, we do have like plastic forks and plates and pack and play for them to use as well. There's lots of seating, and it's an open concept, so everyone can gather in the kitchen. If you're coming with a large group of friends, bachelorette parties, all of those are welcome, and there's plenty of space. There's a ginormous backyard that's fenced in and fully private for our guests to use, has a fire table, outdoor seating, outdoor fan, outdoor cooler, cornhole, lawn, pong. So there's lots of fun things that you can do inside, outside. And it's really close to downtown. You can easily take an Uber or a Lyft because parking can be a pain down there. The property does come with 2 parking pad spaces, and then there is some limited street parking as well.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So you've got like this an entertainer's dream.
Yes, like it's good for family, friends. I've had my cousins stay here. We had cousins weekend. I've had family stay, people coming in for concerts, Titans games. So kind of anything that you're looking for, we can find a place for you.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so another question that I have, because I feel like this does come up for people, but how did you go about decorating the property? I know you talked about having to spend, what you needed to spend to decorate it, and it was a little bit more than what you initially thought of, but what gave you the creative inspiration in terms of decorating? I mean, we've got some beautiful colors that are in here. Those who are watching can kind of see the dining area, how it's bright. And I just love some of the color schemes and things that were chosen as far as the interior design for this property. So tell us a little bit about that and how you managed that, how you pulled that off.
I picked the colors for the trim, and I have a great friend. I am terrible at decorating, and I have a great friend, Caroline, who just for funsies likes to decorate things. And I enlisted her and her great skills I just gave her creative freedom. I was like, here's a credit card, here's a budget, make it beautiful. And she did a fabulous job. So thanks, Caroline.
And Caroline helped me out as well. So I'm hoping that this is something that she might start doing professionally, because she is really, really great at what she does. Mm-hmm. It's a nice friend to have.
Yeah.
And you're a pretty good friend too when you're giving out the credit card.
She had a budget.
Now, and you touched on this a little bit. I mean, I feel like you have a little bit, but so you do the property management yourself.
Yes. So I do have a cleaning company that I do use that I've been using for years just for personal cleaning, all clean and organized. Her name is Rita, and her team, we just work together of when someone's checking out, what needs to be done, and they do a fabulous job of keeping this place very clean, smelling amazing. But in terms of the day-to-day management, managing bookings, responding to clients, I do all of that myself. Because I live next door, it becomes easier to manage. If something's broken, if I need to do walkthroughs, I just walk on over. If, additional things are needed. I think as I get more properties, because I do want to continue to invest to do a combination of short-term rentals, moderate, furnished for 1, 3, 6 month leases, and then long-term rentals, I will need a management company just as I get more properties. But for now, it's been pretty manageable to be able to respond to messages. And I have it listed on a couple of platforms, Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. And there are some apps and platforms that do combine it all into one place that helps with that management as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And see, I think you mentioned this earlier in your intro. You are a physician, so for you to have the space and time to be able to do that, again, leveraging some of these tools that can help you see a full spectrum of what you have in those different platforms. I think that's amazing. So that's another reason why I feel like getting into something like this now and learning and growing, I mean, it's a great time for it because we do have tools that we can use. So
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that too. So you did say, I mean, that's amazing. You think this is something that you want to scale up and do more of. So for anybody who's watching this, what are some of the key things that you would say somebody needs to think about before diving in?
Yeah, I would say one is you need to have enough savings that you can cover that mortgage of the Airbnb during those dead times or when business is slower than expected. And then having a good game plan. So one, looking at properties that are permissible, so like that can get the permit. So if you're looking to purchase in Davidson County, you have to look at what their zoning is and if you can do a short-term rental or buying a property that was built that was short-term rental, like already in that proper zone. So I think doing your homework ahead of time is going to be really important. And then once you do make that leap, you just have to trust it and not kind of freak out and be like, oh my goodness, what did I do? We need to abort. And just being patient with it, like with how my timing worked out, purchasing in April. And then by the time I got it all ready, it was already the end of summer. And then you move into that holiday season where not as many people travel into Nashville. You kind of get that, what do I do? It's so slow. I don't have a booking. But just being kind of confident that people will come. Like Nashville is a growing area for tourism. It's a growing area for people moving into the area and they don't know what area they want to buy. So they may want to Airbnb for a while, whether it's for 2 weeks or a month. And so just being flexible, having confidence in yourself, and just taking the time to kind of tweak things. If you notice that maybe your pricing is too high or your cleaning fees are too high, and just kind of playing with those things until you get it right. Doing your research and looking at what the market is like, what other comparable houses look like, and kind of, doing your competitive pricing in that way. But based on when you plan on launching, just making sure you have that cushion room of like, if you're going to launch during a quiet time, that you can be able to support yourself and pay the bills that need to be paid. But I think that this will have great potential kind of based on its location and the size of it. And so just really believing in yourself and just being patient, I think, is the big thing.
Oh, I love that. Like so many key items that you said. Obviously, location, being in a great market, giving yourself space and time to learn, grow, pivot when you need to. You talked about some of the things that you've added to the space since you purchased it. So, making a little bit, reinvesting back into it, having some reserve money. I mean, that is, paramount. I mean, that's definitely one of the things that you want to do, especially if you're going into investing in this way. You talked about seasonality. When you're doing short-term rentals, there are certain periods where people might not be traveling as much depending on where you are in the country. And so, I mean, all of those things, like super great points, and appreciate you sharing that as somebody who is newly into this, freshly into this, but you're doing a great job. And I have just loved being part of the journey and seeing everything that you're doing.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with you, Val, and I can't wait for our next one. Maybe the end of 2024.
Listen, that's right around the corner the way these years are flying by. So I love hearing that, and anything that I can do to continue to help, and appreciate you being here and sharing all this great information. So with that, I guess we'll kind of wrap things up. But if anybody has any questions, any comments for me, for Desiree, drop those in the comments and be happy to respond to those and help out in any way that we can. So thank you so much. If you are coming to Nashville, I'm going to drop the links for this beautiful Airbnb. So definitely check it out. It is something that you will want to stay in and enjoy and invite people over and have a great time. So definitely check it out. If you're in Nashville, or even if you want to get some ideas, click that link and listen. Thanks again for watching.